Hello everyone, hope you've had a wonderful weekend. So what we're going to do today on Sunday, that is March the 17th, we're going to try and figure out what any specific currency is going to try and do for the next week. It looks like a very busy week ahead of us. So we're gonna follow the same format as we did last week. We're gonna do dollar, yen, and Swiss franc in one video. Then we're gonna do Aussie, Kiwi, and CAD in the second video, and in the third video we're gonna do euro and pound. Maybe take a look at gold too. Now, I personally do not trade gold a lot, unless of course there's a very clear opportunity. But uh, I hardly trade gold, so we'll keep it for the last in the video with euro and pound. So let's quickly jump right into it. I'm gonna go through the economic calendar to show you guys what important news events are coming out, so that I and you both are aware of the days that we should be looking to trade, right? And aware of the days that we should not be, or we should be looking to stay away from the markets. Okay, starting tomorrow, Monday, March 18th, there is not a lot of news on other than Euro CPI. Uh, this could move the markets. Other than that, there is not a lot of prospect on Monday. Come Tuesday, one of my favorite interest rates, that's RBA interest rate, Australian dollar. Australian dollar's interest rate is coming out. I'm not sure if I'd be able to trade it or not because, it's I'm fasting these days. I go to sleep after prayers in the morning, that is around 5 a.m. And then I wake up right around London Open, and then cannot just come in front of the charts right away. So this is at 8:30 a.m. my time, uh, the interest rate decision. I will hope that I'll get some of the trades off of it during New York or the day after, but we'll see what happens with the interest rate and how things perform uh, after the interest rate. It's projected to be the same as earlier, does not matter. So again, I do not care what the news is coming out as. What I care is what the news is showing me on the charts. So not going to trade at the time of the news, exactly at the time of the news, as you already know if you've gone through the previous videos. The news needs to take its course, and then the pullback afterwards is what we want to be in, stuff like that. Anyway, Tuesday seems to be very busy. RBA interest rate decision, then you have CAD CPI. Oh, you also have yen interest rate decision. So that's two interest rates on Tuesday, one CPI on CAD. Uh, should be very busy. Come Wednesday, again, you have pound CPI, then you have dollar interest rate. Yeah, again, going to be very busy. On Thursday, you have employment change and unemployment rate on Aussie, and you have Swiss franc interest rate. Uh, so Thursday is also going to be pretty busy, and then also pound interest rate, I think. Yeah, you also have pound interest rate, and you have initial jobless claims, you have PMIs on dollars. So it promises to be a very busy week ahead. So what we're going to try and do now is try and figure out where the market is going to go in the longer term, because these big news events generally tend to begin the direction for the longer term, right? Quickly jump right into it. Let's take a look at dollars. First of all, Aussie dollar. Um, it's a little tricky on Aussie dollar, but I'm interested on the sell side. Uh, it is this buyer, of course. If you take a look at the whole picture of it, it's basically this seller that sold from up there, uh, challenged this buyer. I mean, yeah, challenged this buyer. This buyer couldn't really do anything. Price fell even lower, and then price made a lower high, no lower low, and then a sharp move up, as if what we always talk about is that it's turning people to the opposite side of the market. That is what I think right now. Looking at the price action, especially this piece right here, it took so many days, more than a week, and so choppy coming all the way up to here, where everyone was looking to sell, right? Everyone is looking to sell this, and then the sell fails. Very strong buy comes up, and since dollar CPI last week, we know that dollar's been picking up a little bit of pace. And if you take a look at 240, and I clear all of these drawings and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the thing on Aussie dollar, right? It's at one point it's this buyer that takes you through this area, right? This very important piece right here takes you through this. But in a bigger picture, it's also this buyer, and that is where you're at right now. So what I want to see with uh, Aussie interest rate or dollar interest rate for that matter, uh, I want the prices to come up higher and then start to go lower because yeah, this is what I want to see, at least into hereabouts, if not all the way up. But I am sell biased on this. Prices could come up here, maybe go lower, maybe go lower low. Who knows? At this point in time, the price action suggests that the prices are turning around on Aussie dollar for Aussie weakness and dollar strength. That is what it looks like so far. If as the market opens on Monday, on Tuesday there's Aussie interest rate. If it shows you a different story, it'll be a different story. As of right now, this is what I want to see. Um, and I'm gonna try and be quick with these videos, right? It takes a lot of your time and my time too. But okay, euro dollar daily's a buyer, a very clear buyer, and 240 on the other hand is also a buyer. So you're still above this, right? uh, Cannot sell it. For it to be a sell, want to see the price go lower than this, and then uh, you know, pull back for new lower highs and lower lows. At this point in time, I'm not too sure. I would want to give some time to the price action. Looks like this buyer came up to hold. Let's see if it holds. We still have, I mean, for this, we're gonna have to wait until Wednesday. That's when the dollar interest rate is. So we'll see what happens. At this time, I'm not too sure what this wants to do. Although with CPI, of course, that is in the back of the head. That CPI made dollar stronger, and after all of this, if this couldn't go, the seller's in control, it could be setting up for a sell. But as long as we're above this, I cannot look to sell. So I'd want to see prices go lower, then pull back to go lower. That is what I want to see. At this point in time, it's still inside a buyer, so can't really say what it wants to do. Pound dollar also same thing as euro dollar. It's daily is a buyer, but again, so here's the thing, right? If you read it like you read Aussie, we read Aussie dollar, where everyone was looking to sell it here, maybe sell it here too initially. Stop losses above this, so this buyer comes up, takes all of those stop losses, and is probably this seller now. That should hold. I'm not saying it is going to hold. What I'm saying is that it should hold. We'll see what happens. But of course, uh, if it just hovers around here, on a 240 buyer, just keeps hovering around. Of course, it's not going to continue to push through because it's a very strong buyer here. But I want to see the prices chop around for a day or two. Then, well, a day or two is only going to be what, 12 candles, right? Yeah, on 240 time frame. On 60 time frame, it's going to be more candles, of course. So I want to see some choppiness on this. This goes lower. Let's quickly take a look at the volumes, though, what the volumes are saying. I don't generally use them, but they are a good indicator at times. Yeah, so the volume is, coming up on the sell side at the moment. We'll see what happens, and I'm gonna get rid of the volume now. Yeah. Okay, again, not really sure at the moment. I do want to see the prices go lower, and if they do go lower, the targets are gonna be hereabouts, if not lower. A lot of room for the price to travel, but I want to see what the price action does overall, right? Okay. Kiwi dollar, of course, we missed out on this trade uh, during the past week. Now it's at a support. I understand that, but with the Aussie interest rate coming out, this could start to move, break lower, and then go lower. Dollar Swiss franc, we talked about how this buyer is still holding, is still in control. You have Swiss franc interest rate and then you have dollar interest rate. So it could be a lot of whipsaws, but eventually it looks like it is going to go higher for higher highs because this buyer is still holding, right? No higher high. So again, as we've discussed multiple times, if this buyer is going to buy, he's going to want to attempt a higher high. No higher high, and you have better price too. Not very clear better price. I mean, not a lot of people did turn to the sell side with this little bit of a wick, but what I want to see, as I want to see on the rest of the dollars, a bit of, mess around and then go higher. But the bias on this is that of a buy also at the moment. Again, if the price action starts to show different stuff, we'll come up with different stuff. Okay. Dollar CAD, we discussed this last week too. Looks like it's setting up for a buy again since after CPI. Yeah, it does look like it is setting up for a buy, but I want to see the prices back down to here at least one more time before they go higher. If they start to go higher before that, we'll see how we can join in on it. But at this point in time, again, looking for dollar buys on this. Yen, dollar yen. So yen is, basically if you take a look at the recent moves up, you're under this buyer. You broke through this buyer that held for multiple times, right? That is what's confusing me with dollar yen buys. And this is the second dollar that I'm not very inclined towards dollar strength with. Euro dollar and dollar yen. Not very inclined towards dollar strength. So we'll see. But overall, the momentum looks like it is with the buyers. But you're inside, you're below this buyer that broke above, uh, and it held multiple times. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this was uh, dollar. Let's talk about yen now. Yen also has interest rate. Uh, okay, there we go. All right, so yen. If you take a look at 240, you're still inside under this seller. So I want to see some sort of a rollover on this, even daily, right? The overall momentum at this moment, if you're a trend line trader, you're whatever, you can clearly see that the momentum has shifted to the sell side. And what if this buyer that came up where everyone here was looking to sell? Can you see this small red candle in here? So everyone in here was looking to sell. What if this buy that came up is the introduction of buyers into the market that we always talk about so much, right? So what I want to see is a bit of a rollover on the lower time frame. Let's see. Yeah. So on 60 minutes, it's basically this buyer that is holding right now. So his death, a bit of messing around, maybe a spike higher to go lower. That is what I want to see on euro yen. Uh, quickly, because there's not a lot of time to breaking the fast too. CAD yen, again, looking to sell this big time, all the way down to there. Uh, it's new seller all along on daily on 240 uh, prices, exactly the same thing as it's doing on euro yen. So everyone is looking to sell in here, this little seller that you see, but this buy comes up to turn people to the opposite direction, the wrong direction. That is what my perception is at the moment. Could be wrong. We'll see how price action develops over time as market opens tomorrow. At this point in time, you can very clearly see that this seller that started up there came all the way down to here, broke through this buyer, if this is the last buyer, because if you remember from earlier videos of CAD yen, this was basically the last buyer and we did sell afterwards. But as of right now, it's this one seller, right? It's one sell. There are no green candles in between. This is one sell. If as long as you're below this, it's a sell, it's not a buy. For it to turn into a buy, price needs to go through this and then pull back to go for buys. That is highly unlikely at the moment. It looks like it's going to take a little bit of time to turn around, and then targets are going to be at least here, if not lower. This is also a lot of room for the price to travel. I'm sorry, guys, my throat is going a little dry because I haven't had water since, you know, um, the day started, early morning, sunrise. So bear with me a little if, I cough and all. Okay, I'm sorry in advance. Swiss franc yen, a very clear seller is in place at the moment, same as every other yen. So you can see one very clear buyer that held for a very long time, and then this is one clear sell, no green candles in between. And everyone is looking to sell in here. Prices could still come up a little higher and then go lower. Aussie yen, not very sure because you're still inside this buyer. So here's what I would want to see on Aussie yen, right? As we're looking for yen strength, I'm sorry, as we're looking for yen strength, and if Aussie has interest rate that could weaken Aussie, what I want to see is interest rate takes us through this, and then a pullback for yen interest rate for this to continue to go lower. That is what I want to see, because if you take a look at the overall picture, it should be going down. You know, channel, trend line, whatever you want to draw, it should be going down. The overall picture, that's what it's saying. But again, we'll see how the price action unfolds. Confused about Aussie yen, keep that in mind. Pound yen too. Uh, the reason why is because this buyer still seems to be holding. Although it's taking, a bit of chop in here, just like the price action looks pretty, similar to Euro yen and CAD yen at the moment up in this area. But on the daily time frame, this buy is still holding, right? This buyer, he's still holding. And then we have, pound interest rate too. So we'll see how the price action starts to unfold. But I am all for yen strength still all for yen strength. Okay. Kiwi yen, of course, it's a brand new seller. We can see it's a brand new seller. The brand new seller, as with Kiwi dollar, there was a sell. Couldn't have gotten in this, but this is broken through this. It's holding below. Price comes up higher, goes lower. Looking for sells on this too. Dollar yen we've already discussed. I'm a little confused about how things are going to work out in dollar yen, but we'll see what happens. Okay, there was yen. Take a quick look at Swiss franc. It's a long video already. I'm sorry. I know it gets a little boring, but so we have a mantra that I tell all of my students: make trading boring. It's really important. We'll talk about it sometime, not today. Okay. Aussie Swiss franc. Don't know what this wants to do. This buyer is still in control, so it could test it, go higher. Yeah, looks like it is going to go higher, but it's still inside this big range, so you don't know what it really wants to do. CAD Swiss franc, again, as we discussed last time too with Swiss franc, this drawing is still here that we did, last week, Monday 11th, Sunday, of course. Yeah. So this buyer still seems like it's holding. Looks like it's holding. It could come down one more time to go higher. As long as you're above this, this is not a sell. It can never be a sell as long as you're above this, because this is, again, as we've discussed about other territories or playgrounds, this is one buy, right? You do not see any red candles in between. So as long as you're above this, do not look to sell this. Dollar Swiss franc, again, we've discussed with the dollar analysis. Looks like it's setting up for a nice massive buy. We'll see how things turn out to be. Euro Swiss franc, same thing as other Swiss francs. This buyer is still controlling, uh, picking up pace too. So it could come down, test one more time to go higher. Swiss franc looks like it is going to be weak. Pound Swiss franc, same thing. It's basically in the same area as it was last week. Didn't do much uh, during the last week. So this drawing that you see is from last week. Still buy biased on this. It could test and go. So for as long as you're above this, you cannot look to sell. If it breaks through this, pulls back, that is a different story. It'll be a sell then, right? At this point in time, it's a buy. Uh, Pound Swiss franc, we're done with. Kiwi Swiss franc. Kiwi seems to be somewhat weak, and Kiwi Swiss franc basically looks like the only Swiss franc at this time that where the seller is in control, where Swiss franc buyer is in control. That probably gives you an idea of how weak Kiwi could be in the coming future. Okay, just saying. So keep an eye out. This is the only Swiss franc at the moment that looks like where Swiss franc is going to be strong. No other Swiss franc looks like it. Okay, and Swiss franc yen we have discussed about already. It's, under this buyer that held for a very long time, so could continue to go. All right. Uh, A 20 minutes video, I understand it's long, but it's, for my benefit, probably for your benefit too. See you in the next video. We're going to do Aussie, Kiwi, CAD in the next video. Cheers, guys.